They say no one knows you like a sister, but a twin. A twin feels what you feel. And that night, as I stared at the phone with tears running down my cheeks, I knew something wasn't right. My phone had been ringing for 6 straight minutes. No caller ID, then a text. He did it again. I'm at the hospital. My heart dropped. My twin sister, Leela, had always been the softer one. Quiet, gentle, kind, the kind of person who'd care more about someone else's peace than her own pain. And yet she was married to him. Dylan, my brother-in-law in name, but a monster in every possible way. He was charming in public, a successful man with a slicked-back grin and money to show around. But behind closed doors, Leela was his prey, and her body often bore the silence she never spoke. I've begged her to leave him, at least 100 times. But she always said the same thing. I'm scared. He said if I ever leave, he'll ruin me. He'll ruin everything. And back then, I didn't know what everything meant, until I found out she had no access to her own bank account. He had put the house under his name and had been secretly recording her meltdowns to paint her as mentally unstable. When I walked into that hospital, I couldn't recognize her, only the fear in her eyes felt familiar. A cracked lip, swollen cheek, elbow bruised. Fell, she whispered. I looked at her, really looked at her. Not just as my sister, but as a reflection of me. We had the same face, same height, same voice, same smile when she still used to smile. That's when the idea came. Not from rage, but from clarity. She needed peace, and he needed a taste of what he served. Leela, I whispered, leaning in. What if we traded lives for just a little while? Her eyes shot open. Even bruised, she looked afraid. What do you mean? He sees you like a victim, but he's never met me. Dark silence. Then, the first glimmer of hope in her eyes I'd seen in years. I moved into their house, pretending to be her. She stayed hidden in a place only I knew. Dylan didn't notice at first. I was polite. I cooked. I smiled. I even wore long sleeves to make the bruises believable. But then, I started changing the rules. Why is the GPS off? He shouted one evening. I wanted to take a walk, clear my mind, I replied calmly. You never go on walks. I smiled coldly. People change. He began to twitch. That's when I set the trap in motion. Every call he made, redirected to a new number. Security cameras covered. Our joint bank account drained slowly into her new offshore safety account. Meanwhile, Leela, she was healing, in the safe house with therapy, warmth, and silence. She watched old movies, ate her favorite food again. And I was systematically undoing the empire of fear this man had built. The first real crack came 2 weeks in. Dylan came home early, saw me not crying but reading. What's that? He asked. The police report, detailing my injuries. Just wanted to make sure I got the timeline right, I said dryly. His face went ghost white. That night, for the first time, he didn't sleep in our room. But I did. Calm, collected, and smiling as I whispered to myself. Welcome to hell, darling. Dylan started noticing things. Not big things, but cracks, tiny inconsistencies that chipped away at his control. Like how Leela no longer flinched when he raised his voice, or how she suddenly looked him in the eye when he got angry. You're not the same, he snapped one day. I just laughed quietly. Maybe I finally woke up. He didn't like that. You don't answer your phone anymore. Because you stole it last time. What did you just say to me? You heard me, clearly. That evening, he didn't say a word. But his jaw was clenched. His fists curled. Any other time, he might have acted out, slapped, pushed, or worse. But I stared him down with a gaze he'd never encountered before. And for the first time, Dylan walked away. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, phase 2 of our operation was already in motion. I had Leela sign power of attorney over to me, legally, officially. Why? Because Dylan thought I was her. I hired a silent lawyer, moved assets, froze joint accounts. I reported the bruises to a private medical investigator, got documentation, time-stamped photos, anonymously sent a file to his company's HR department and local police. Do you know what destroys powerful men? Pattern. When you prove they didn't hurt someone once or twice, but habitually, repeatedly, strategically. The file included 5 years of hospital visits. Doctor notes. Whispered confessions that Leela used to leave on my voicemail late at night because she had no one else to talk to. I had everything. And Dylan had no idea he was walking atop a minefield. One night, he stormed into the kitchen. "I know what you're doing," he growled. "Do you?" I asked gently, slicing apples. "Because I'm just making dessert." His face flushed so red, I thought a vein would pop. "Where's your phone, right now?" "With the lawyer," I said, still smiling. "Want the number?" His fist slammed into the counter beside me, but not on me. Not this time. "Who the hell do you think you are?" he whispered in fury. I leaned in close. "Someone who knows exactly how to make your life a living hell, and hasn't even started yet." The days after that, Dylan began to unravel. His job called. He was being investigated for spousal abuse. His joint credit card declined at a restaurant. The perfectly maintained social image he built for years, cracking. He couldn't track me anymore, no location sharing. His camera system at home, blank and looping. His files, encrypted and locked. One evening, he took my phone off the kitchen counter and stormed out of the house. 2 hours later, he came back with it shattered in his hand. "Fake," he snapped. "Everything you gave me is fake." I just nodded, like the love you gave her. That night, he screamed so loud the neighbor called the cops. For the first time, it was Leela being dragged out. It was him. Cuffed, furious, humiliated. They let him go the next morning, technicality, but the report was filed. He didn't come home that night, or the one after. And I knew the final blow had to be prepared. Leela was stronger now. Her face had healed. Her eyes, oh, those eyes that once begged for escape, they were alive again. "Are you ready?" I asked her softly. She nodded. "Let's destroy him." We made the switch again. Same clothes, same hair. I left quietly at dawn, after planting one last surprise in the house. And she walked right back into that home like she'd never left, only now, she wasn't afraid anymore. When Dylan returned that evening, drunk, fuming, and disoriented, he didn't know he now faced the real Leela. And she was ready. "You again," he muttered when she opened the door. "Of course," she smiled. "Who else were you expecting?" He stared. Something wasn't right. The bruises were gone. The eyes fearless. The voice cold. "I made dinner," she said. "Your favorite." He sat down, confused. She poured his drink, sat across, and let him drink in silence. "It's over," she said softly. "What is?" "This marriage, this charade, your power, your secrets." Dylan laughed nervously. "You're bluffing." Leela smiled, reached into her bag. "These are the documents you didn't want me to have access to." He frowned. She laid them out, one by one. Hospital reports. Bank fraud. Therapy documentation. Anonymous witness letters. Dylan's lips parted, but no sound came out. "You think I was weak, and I was," she said, "but you forgot one thing." "What?" Her smile turned icy. "I have a twin sister who doesn't believe in mercy." Dylan was frozen, staring at papers that spelled out his guilt like a courtroom sentence. This wasn't just a threat. It was a blueprint of his complete unraveling. "You can't do this," he whispered, trembling. Leela tilted her head. "You hit me, gaslit me, isolated me for years." "We both know you'll forgive me," he hissed. "You always do." She smiled, the way I did. And for the first time, Dylan realized. "You're not her," he stammered. "Oh, but I was," She leaned forward. We traded places. I saw your real face from the inside. Do you know what poison looks like up close? Because now I do. That night, Dylan tried to delete everything, emails, account logs, messages. But it was too late. Leela's lawyer, the one I'd hired under her name, had filed everything to court that morning. Spousal abuse, financial control, identity manipulation. Case sealed, witnesses noted, protective order filed. And when he tried to intimidate her again, it was caught live on a hidden cam Leela had planted, just like I taught her. Then came the final blow. Dylan arrived at work like any other Monday. But the front desk woman avoided eye contact. His access badge blinked red. Human resources came down with security, a printed folder in hand. Mr. Walker, you've been placed on indefinite leave pending an internal investigation. For what? Who told you this? He shouted. The HR director just handed him the file, in silence. Dylan opened it. There, stapled on top, a single-typed sentence. Hell hath no fury like two sisters, who look just like your worst mistake. That night, Leela called me. He's gone. Scared, I asked. Shattered, she whispered, like I used to be. Silence, then we both laughed, not bitter but free. She stayed in that house for weeks, not out of fear but to breathe. She painted the bedroom, burned the sheets, changed every single lock. And on his birthday, she mailed back his wedding ring. The ring. Radio button, a printed photo of her bruises. Radio button, and a handwritten note that said, the woman you destroyed is gone. The one who outsmarted you is me. You don't deserve my fear anymore. He tried to fight back, filed a countersuit, said she forged the documents. But the evidence was airtight. Even the judge said, this case is not just about abuse. It's about premeditated control and a woman who had the courage to outwit it. Case closed, divorce granted. Alimony denied for Dylan. Leela awarded 100% of remaining assets. His name legally barred from approaching her or contacting her ever again. We watched him walk out of that courtroom like a ghost. No glare. No bark. Just silence. The same silence Leela used to sit in. Only now it belonged to him. It's been a year now. Leela lives near the sea. She travels, smiles more than she talks, has a little dog named Karma. We joke about it. Mostly because laughter was once stripped from us, and now it's a treasure. People still ask me, was it hard switching lives like that? And I tell them, for me, it was just pretending. But for her, it was returning to the woman she was always meant to be. Justice doesn't always come in courtrooms. Sometimes it comes from the people who love us enough to become our shadow, our strength, and our second chance. My sister needed an escape. So I became the fire she needed, the storm he never saw coming. And Dylan, let's just say, his life is exactly what we promised it would be. A living hell,